supporting people with multiple and complex needs. Within this session, we aim to help you have an introductory understanding of multiple and complex needs, or MCN as it is abbreviated, and how best to respond to someone who has MCN in your work. We will also reflect on the impact that stigma has on people with MCN. We will also hear from someone with lived experience of multiple and complex needs, and at the end of the video there will be a question for reflection, and we would encourage you to take some time to note down your response, as well as any questions that have arisen for you during the session. What do we mean when we say multiple and complex needs? According to the Meme Coalition, there are an estimated 60,000 adults in England, which calculates roughly to 1 in every 933 people who face multiple needs such as homelessness and barriers to accessing accommodation, an enduring mental health condition which will impact on a person's health and well-being, problematic substance misuse, at risk of repeat offending and in the cycle of the prison system, and being a victim or perpetrator of abuse. Someone with MCN has at least 2 or 3 of these issues at the same time, and some people will face all of these challenges in the course of their life. These are statistics taken from the Homeless Needs Audit carried out by Homeless Link in 2016. This audit brought together information from 27 health audits carried out across England with people who were experiencing homelessness. Findings from the Homeless Need Audit found that 86% of people reported some form of mental health issue, diagnosed or undiagnosed, with 44% being diagnosed with a mental health condition, compared with 25% of the population. 41% said that they take drugs or are recovering from a drug problem, and 27% have or are recovering from an alcohol problem. Note the high level of people struggling with their mental health, and think about the impact that this has on a person who is homeless and exploring options regarding accommodation and their benefit entitlement. The audit also highlighted how 18% of respondents had experienced being refused registration to a GP or dentist. 12% had left prison in the past 12 months prior to the survey, and 78% reported having a physical health problem. We know from our work that some people who have MCN and experience mental health issues may self-medicate with alcohol and substances to cope. This is called a co-occurring condition, when someone has a mental health condition and addiction to substances and alcohol. It can be challenging for people with MCN to engage with support. They may have lots of workers from numerous services and feel like they have to tell their story multiple times. Support appointments may stack up with multiple services and leave people feeling like accessing a range of different buildings, online spaces and multiple people is just all too much. Many people with MCN have shared with us negative experiences of services in the past, and this too can make people feel anxious about accessing support services. When supporting, advising or accommodating a person with MCN, it is important to consider a person's history and how they present without making judgment or stigmatising them because of their needs. People with MCN are likely to have experienced complex trauma in their lives and have been victims of abuse. It is worth considering that a person with MCN has been marginalised and have been judged in a certain way based on stereotypes about their identity, which will have an impact on how they access support. Our aim is to break down stereotypes and be non-judgmental and be available to listen and advise where appropriate. Due to the complexity of a person's needs and their experiences of trauma, a person with MCN may struggle with interpersonal skills and develop a level of distrust with professionals as they feel they have been let down throughout their life. They may be in unhealthy codependent relationships, have minimal support from their family, and isolate and detach from support. A person with MCN at times may present with challenging behaviour, struggle to attend appointments, and they may manage their money and resources in a way that will suit their immediate needs, not their longer-term development. A person with MCN is more likely to be a victim of abuse and self-neglect, and may struggle to maintain their accommodation or tenancy. They may also be more at risk of being exploited. This could be financial or being pressured into sex work or illegal activity by a perpetrator of abuse, and may mean that their accommodation is at risk of being cuckooed by county line gangs. The severity and complexity of a person's problems means they are often turned away from the very services that are set up to help them because their behaviour is seen as too challenging. This means people with the most severe problems are often further excluded, developing a level of distrust with services who aim to support them. Local services can struggle to provide appropriate support for people facing MCN, as in most cases they are designed to deal with one problem at a time and to support people with single severe conditions. This can mean that people experiencing MCN are more likely to access emergency rather than planned services, such as going to accident and emergency rather than their local GP. People with MCN are more likely to live in poverty and experience stigma, discrimination, isolation and loneliness. They tend to be known to everyone, but often are served by no one, as they are perceived to be hard to reach or not my responsibility. This can make services seem unhelpful and uncaring to someone experiencing multiple and complex needs. Considering the issues and challenges that a person with MCN faces in their life, it is important to try and tailor our approach to support their needs. When supporting, advising or accommodating a person with MCN, aim not to be judgmental and to think what happened to you, not what is wrong with you. Build up trust with a person while staying within your professional boundaries. Try to understand their support needs and what options a person has with accessing support, such as awareness of their housing options or how to access substance misuse services. Aim to help somebody feel welcomed and comfortable when they approach your service by asking open questions such as, how can I best help you? What might help you engage with us? A friendly and open approach can be a really important experience for someone with MCN that helps reassure them that services can be there to support, and we hope to encourage you to be a person who can assist with this. Being accommodated and receiving the correct benefits may be the break that a person with MCN needs to focus on stability, engagement and their recovery. It is important to have good communication with other professionals and services involved in a person's support, and if possible be flexible and person-centred with your approach. Person-centred support means working collaboratively with people who use services, helping them to identify and achieve their goals and develop the knowledge, skills and confidence they need to manage and make informed decisions about their care and support. As a worker, it can feel overwhelming to learn about a person's multiple and complex needs. Utilise peer support from your team and manager, and don't feel left alone with any disclosures or concerns that you have identified, or which have been shared with you. Sharing with your client that you want to ask for some advice from your manager or colleague, this can help reassure them that they have been heard, you have listened, and that you are trying to help them effectively.
I'm Kate, I'm a project consultant in Fulfilling Lives. I work with volunteers, supporting them in action groups. We bring work from the service user involvement team in trying to help change, make a change in services for people with multiple and complex needs. The most common difficulties I find are that not really being understood by a professional, and also constantly repeating your story. There's also changing in key workers. So 1 minute you could be working with one key worker and then a month down the line they change to someone else, so then you're having to tell your story again. And then there's services not liaising with one another when you need help within other services. They don't tend to talk to one another, so when you walk into the other service, they don't know, they haven't spoken to the person that you've seen a few days ago, so then you have to go through what you went through with the other person, which is a struggle because it keeps just re-traumatising you all the time. And also it's the filling in of forms within different services as well. They can ask you to do a lot of form filling and it's not that helpful if you can't read and write properly. So it can be a bit of a struggle. Yeah, there has been times when I felt stigmatised within services. That was in the job centre, with the police and with the housing associations. It made me start to clam up, not want to engage, not want to do the things they was asking me to do. There was no trust. I didn't trust them because of the way they treated me. So it just made me feel like I was unworthy and I didn't have a place in society. Like, it's like when I was in a domestic violence relationship, they was trying to tar me with the same brushes as them, as they were, and they wouldn't see that I was being abused. It was antisocial behaviour from my part, and although I was voicing that it's not, this is happening to me, I'm being controlled, people are coming in and out of my home, I just need to get away. There was that, well, it's you. You're you're inviting them in. You're playing the loud music. You're out in the street brawling and arguing, but couldn't understand that. I was trying to get away from the situation, and I was trying to fight these people away from me, and they wouldn't see that. So it was really difficult to try and get them to, well, they still didn't understand because they evicted me on the terms of antisocial behaviour, when I had to fight for about a year until they did see that it was domestic violence and abuse and controlling coercive behaviour that I was going through. But it took a long time, and it's a real struggle when you've got so many services. When one service says that it's antisocial behaviour, then wherever you go, that's what you're evicted for. That it's not. Even though I was going with black eyes and broken noses, it was my fault. It was all my fault, and it was difficult to get out of that situation. I think to have a quiet, safe space to sit with someone and be able to talk, who sits there in that space that's safe and will listen to you and non-judgmentally, and just take time out just to listen to you and actually believe really what you're saying. I just felt that I wasn't believed half the time, and it was difficult to get people to understand. To use your own initiative from what the person's saying, not from maybe records that has come from somewhere else, to be able to think, yeah, more on your own initiative, and then go away and look at that and then think, oh, well, actually that just contradicts that. that could be true what that person's saying. It just felt that they was all singing from the same sheet and no one was going off and doing their own work on it, if you know what I mean. And to make that person feel worthy, give that encouragement and that empowerment for that person to be able to think that they can be someone else, someone that they are inspiring to be, not what they see when that person's not in the right frame of mind, that they're not well, that they need help. To pick out the good points in people, their strengths, and work with them with that. I found what helped me as well, when I finally got a key worker who listened to me, was not being in that office space and having that trust and being able to go for walks. I used to enjoy walking and talking at the same time, which would open up the conversation a lot more. So I found that was really helpful. So maybe not always being in that office space or in a room, maybe thinking about when that person's in their recovery in the right place, to maybe be able to go for a safe walk. And because I found that really helped me talk and open up a bit more. And not to keep on asking questions that re-traumatise you as well, so non-traumatising. approaches are always the best.
Before we move on to our next session, take some time to reflect and think. What challenges might a person with MCN have experienced during the hours, days and weeks leading up to being placed in accommodation, seeking benefits advice, or making contact with your service for support with other areas of their lives? Does this change the way you would respond to this person? In the next video, we will take a more in-depth look at the impact of trauma in the lives of people with MCN.